Today, we're going to be counting down the top 25 best Nintendo Switch action RPGs in order for this list not to be bogged down with the same franchise games like my list that I did 2 years ago on this. I have put in a rule that I won't have more than one game from any franchise on this list. Also note, this is just my own personal list. It's not fact or saying my games are better than what you like. So here's what I want you guys to do. Make sure you let me know in the comment section what your favorite Nintendo Switch action RPGs are. And hopefully this video can be a guide for many that are looking to get into some cool action RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into number 25, and we've got Dark Souls Remastered. This is a remaster re-release of the original Xbox 360 and PS3 release from the early 2010s. It's a very interesting game because there's a lot of Souls games that come out that try to emulate the style, but the style of Dark Souls coming from Demon Souls is almost unmatched in some type of ways. The way that they put together the big world and kind of interconnected it in a certain type of way just feels really good to play through. It's got that brutal challenge, the gameplay is there, the difficulty is there, the bosses, the weapons, all the different things that you'd expect to make a great Souls experience is formulated so well in the original Dark Souls, and you can take that anywhere that you want. It's actually really good to play on the system. And what I enjoyed the most about Dark Souls for me is probably the variety within the weapons and how you can customize things. Souls games are always notorious for that, having just a lot of options on how to take down your enemies and what to do. For Dark Souls Remastered, that original one has a certain feel to it that's just super fun to play through, along with the great layout and where they put the enemies and how you can level up with the souls and just how everything works in this game. It really is very well done. So Dark Souls Remastered makes it to number 25 on my list. Coming in at number 24, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. Now, if you like Marvel, which I know a lot of you guys do, then this is a no-brainer action RPG. You've got so many different Marvel superheroes in this game. I mean, there's just everything. If you have a favorite, it's probably in here, and you can put together an all-star team that you can swap on the fly in order to play through a variety of levels and challenges. You've got Gambit, you've got Wolverine, you've got Spider-Man, you've got Miles Morales, you've got pretty much everyone. Gambit, there is so many characters in here, and it's still just a lot of fun to go through an old school style beat 'em up action RPG. It's a lot of fun to play through. The graphics are solid enough for what they're trying to do. The music looks good, sharp, presentation's well done as well, and there's tons of content. So you're going to be playing this game for quite some time. You're absolutely getting your money's worth with it. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, makes the number 24 on the list. Coming in at number 23, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. This is a release of the original action RPG from the Xbox 360, PS3 that was also on the PS4 and Xbox One. I think it's been ported and re-released so many times at this point, but Dragon's Dogma on the Nintendo Switch is very well done. It's got all of the Dark Arisen bonus content in there. It's got a variety of different classes, weapons, and spells, and the pawn system is one of the best that you will see in an action RPG that allows you to really experiment and have a variety of different flavor on your team. The story is well done. The graphics look good enough for when the game came out and how they remastered it just a bit. The music is well done and fits the atmosphere of the game as well. So if you're looking for an expansive action RPG with a lot of variety and options and a port that also holds up very well even in today's day, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is a game that you should check out on the Switch. Coming in at number 22, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. This is a hybrid farming slash 2D action RPG, and I really love the 2D action RPG parts. The farming stuff, it's okay for what it is. I don't hate it. I don't necessarily love it, but I love the 2D parts and the upgrades and the weapons that you can get and the gameplay. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin is classic in terms of how it blends things, and I think it does a really good job of tone and style and gameplay. Controls are fluid, the game looks really good as well, and it was one of those surprise titles titles that kind of caught me off guard when I first played it. Now, I knew that I was going to like it. Nintendo did show it off at an E3 a number of years ago, but I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was, especially with the combat and how in-depth it was. It's got a lot of hidden depth in there if you really explore things and do the side quests. So, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin makes the number 22 on my list. Coming in at number 21 is Transistor, and what I love about this game is that it has a really cool cyberpunk futuristic effect to it that perfectly complements the action RPG elements. It's a game that's going to make you think, it's going to make you wonder about things, it's very dystopian at times, but the action RPG elements perfectly blend with some cool turn-based stuff as well in order to just create a perfect fusion and blend of an indie style action RPG. Now, it is kind of old at this point, came out over a decade ago, but it's still a fantastic game. Supergiant, the developers behind it, just know how to make these indie darling hits that resonate with you well after you're done playing and include all of the core gameplay elements in whatever genre that they're doing in order to be incredibly fun. And Transistor just happens to be one of those games that combines a lot of those elements. Now, for me, the story combined with the main character is one of the things that I really liked about this game. It just gives super cool vibes overall. I love the upgrading and the combat in the game as well. And as you're going from one area to the next, you're learning more about the world and about the systems and mechanics, and you get better and better as you play through the game. So Transistor is a little bit of an older title, but is absolutely one of the best action RPGs on the Switch, and that's why it makes it number 21 on the list. If you're enjoying this video, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch and RPG videos first. Okay, let's get right back at it at number 20, and that is CrossCode. You are going to be busting things up at all time. You got numbers popping up everywhere. You got super fast action. It's a lot of fun. CrossCode, in my opinion, is a bit underrated overall when it comes to the indie games. When people talk about the best independent games on the Switch, CrossCode gets brought up, but it's usually further down. I think CrossCode is right up there with so many of the great independent games on the Nintendo Switch. I personally love the story, the characters, the aesthetics, and the music was just very well done overall. I think that the gameplay really gets better and better as you go on and you learn different things, but also at the same time, it takes you back to that Super Nintendo era, and it does a great job of blending that old school feel of an action RPG, but with some modern twist to it overall. So I loved my time with CrossCode, and it makes it to number 20 on the list. Coming in at number 19, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now, this is the millionth time that I've played the game, but it's still just as good, if not better, to play portable mode than whenever I played it beforehand, because The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim has pretty much everything. All the DLCs in there, it runs and looks good. It's got a solid frame rate for the most part, a few dips here and there, but I didn't have anywhere near as many glitches and problems than I did on my playthroughs on the Xbox 360, and definitely not the PlayStation 3 version of the game. So when I played it on the Nintendo Switch, I was pleasantly surprised. There were still some issues, but overall it looked and ran good, and I really enjoyed my time with the game, especially for a title where you can switch between first and third person. I do like the fact that it has that, but the variety within the gameplay of The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is pretty crazy. You can do magic, you can dual wield, you can go into just sword and a shield, two swords. There's all sorts of stuff. Heck, you can be a hybrid where you're doing magic in one hand and sword in the other. So The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim allows you to play the way that you want to play with a ton of content, hundreds of hours of content, and a great story overall of the Dragonborn. It's a really good story just to go through and play. So The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim makes the number 19 on the list. Coming in at number 18, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. This is a remaster of the Xbox 360 release, and that was one of my favorite Tales games of all time, if not my favorite. It's right up there for me, and the reason why is that I love the cast of characters. I think that the cast of characters were great. The dynamic between the main character and his rival growing up and kind of what happens there, his love interest in the game, and the rest rest of the cast, it all blends really well, but the gameplay is just fun. It can be a little bit button mashy at times, but there's definitely opportunities for there to be quite a number of skill to go in there when you mix in your magic, when you actually do your different arts, how you string those arts together, what combos you do, and where you go in terms of the optional content in the game, because there is added optional content from the PlayStation 3 version that came out after the Xbox 360 version. So I really enjoyed my time with Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. I had to get some of that extra content that I didn't experience on the PlayStation 3 version, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. Love the music, love the graphics, the style. Obviously, Tales has that distinct style to it. So Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition makes it number 18 on the list. Coming in at number 17, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. This game surprised me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I did enjoy Fire Emblem Warriors, but I didn't enjoy Fire Emblem Warriors as much as I enjoyed some of the other Warriors games that are themed out there, which we might get into in this video, like Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, for example. So I didn't enjoy it as much as that, but Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes might be the best themed Warriors game that I've played. It's definitely up there for me, and I love how they took a lot of the elements of Fire Emblem Three Houses and streamlined them and adapted it for the Warriors system to where you can kind of get in and get out, and it's nowhere near as time consuming when it comes to what they do. Being able to replay missions, unlock, upgrade, and unlock different areas of the sections of towns in order to get new items and abilities. It's a really cool setup that they have, and even how they do the monastery, or even how they do like the day-to-day operations that were in Three Houses, and how they adapted that was really well done. And I just enjoyed all the different combat and options. Yes, it gets a little bit repetitive at times, but you have to vary up your team, go throughout on the map, send certain people over to other places, do different things like you do in a Fire Emblem game. Make sure that you're doing the right thing with the weapon triangle so you can efficiently take out strongholds and send them and pair them up with other people that work well with each other. So to me, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes was fantastic. It's a nice, perfect blend of Fire Emblem and the Warriors gameplay to create a very fun action RPG, and that's why it makes the number 17 on my list. Coming up at number 16, Megaton Musashi W Wired, and this is a game that I've recently been getting into more now that I'm pretty much done with SMT5, and I've been playing it, and honestly, it's the best action RPG that you might have not heard about, because level 5 took so long to get it localized and to bring it over. But this game is incredible. It's got complete cross-save support on every single platform it's on, and it's got fantastic action RPG elements. I love the different customization options with your mech inside and how you level up in this game. But even the dialogue and how the story flows, that's better than I thought. When I first thought, I was like, okay, it's just going to be some type of corny type of story, but no, it's well done in the level 5 fashion. So I really enjoyed that with the game, and the combat is fun as well. A lot of variety and different ways to customize your mech and weapons to get. So I was shocked at how much I liked this game, and the fact that I had it over a lot of these other games out there. But honestly, it's one of the best action RPGs that people just don't talk about. Megaton Musashi W Wired makes the number 16 on my list. Coming in at number 15, Diablo 3 Eternal Collection, and it's fantastic. It's got all the different content. It's got none of the nonsense that they did before when it comes to the always online and certain things. You can just play the game itself. It's got some exclusive Nintendo content with Ganondorf in there that you can play as an outfit and everything. And what I love about Diablo 3 Eternal Collection is the fact that you can just pick it up, play local co-op right then and there with you and the friends. You can play online co-op if you want that, and it's just a fun time. I picked it up, played it, beat it. Again, I haven't beat the game since on the PC back then, but the game has changed so much from when I played it on the PC with all the different seasons and updates, and all of that is included on Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. That just makes a far superior experience than when I first played it back in 2012 when it came out on PC on my rinky-dink laptop. So Diablo 3, if you want a great action RPG to play with friends or even solo by yourself, with a lot of variety within the classes and different weapons and skills and upgrades and a decent story overall, it's not bad, then Diablo 3 Eternal Collection is a game to check out. Coming in at number 14, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, one of the better action RPGs out there from the PlayStation Portable. They've brought it over to the Nintendo Switch, completely remastered, better looking graphics, updates, quality of life features, and a lot of content, all the different virtual missions you can do. The story is pretty much essential if you truly want to understand everything with Final Fantasy VII and Zack and his relationship with Cloud and Shinra. You've got to play Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, or at least play Crisis Core, but this is the one that you should probably play since it's updated and it's on all the different platforms. But I really enjoyed my time with this game. I felt that the controls are a lot smoother than what they were before. The camera control with the different slots that you can play is done a bit better as well. Customization is handled better, and just the menus, fonts, everything's upgraded a lot over the original game on the PlayStation Portable, so I highly recommend it. And it's just a fun action RPG to get into. The music is phenomenal, some of the best music in the industry, and Crisis Core is right up there. I was jamming with the soundtrack. And if you want a game that's gonna last you with content, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion absolutely has that, with all the different variety of missions that it has and gameplay options and replay as well, even after you beat the game. So Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion makes the number 14 on the list. Coming in at number 13, Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. This is a game that I'll always talk about. It's one of the best RPGs on the Nintendo Switch, easily one of the best action RPGs as well. And to me, it's the fluidity of the combat. The fact that you can play as your character, you have a doll, but then you have the other characters that you can switch between as well. The side quests in the game are great. The controls are good overall. The boss fights are fun, and the story flows. It has a very good pace to it, and I really enjoyed it, especially the story too. The story is actually better. You think it's more like stereotypical, or just like, okay, yeah, we've seen that before, but not really if you haven't played the Ys games, and you don't have to play all the other Ys games to get into Lacrimosa of Dana, which I really enjoyed because I wasn't a huge Ys fan before it. But now that I got into Lacrimosa of Dana, I started playing some of the other games, and this franchise is fantastic. But Lacrimosa of Dana is easily one of the best in the series. I highly recommend it, and I'm looking forward to Ys 10 that's going to be coming out here very soon in the West. But Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, if you want a primer before that game comes out, check it out. Number 13 on the list. Coming in at number 12, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And yes, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, I think it's just as good, maybe even better if you're looking at it completely objectively. So both games are awesome, check them both out. But what I loved about Age of Calamity was the individualism between the characters. There were more differences in combat variety between the characters than the other Hyrule Warriors game, or even the Warriors game overall. And what I loved about that was the fact that the story was such a great tie-in to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Whether you think it's canon or not, or whatever the case is, it wasn't just a made-up type of thing. It was actually part of, okay, the Calamity War. Maybe it's like an alternate dimension of it, but it wasn't just a made-up story just made for that game. They used some of the lore and the history of Breath of the Wild, and obviously the aesthetics of it, and the characters of it, and how people look and everything. The champions, having Urbosa, Mipha, and all the different characters to play as is really cool. It's just really cool with all the music, the levels from Breath of the Wild, the different areas, and extra stuff too. The boss fights were super intense. The frame rate can get a little bit intense too, because it definitely drops some frames a number of times. But if you can get past that, it's absolutely one of the better action RPGs out there, and so much fun to play. I'm really hoping they do an Age of Calamity Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch too, like they did the Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch that actually got it running at 60 frames per second with the Definitive Edition on the Switch. So I'm hoping they do that on the Nintendo Switch too. But Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was still one of my favorite games in 2020 and makes the number 12 on my list. Coming in at number 11, Bastion, another Supergiant game, man. These guys are really good, but Bastion took me back to a time when it was the Xbox 360. That's where this game came from, and the Xbox 360 arcade, or like the digital eShop, and things were kind of new in that scene at that time, and the vibe is definitely there. How they constructed the game and the layout of it, the narration from the game as well, but all the different weapons and different things that you can use. It's kind of like part Diablo, part kind of Castlevania at times, part kind of like weird mix of different games. It's kind of hard to explain, but overall, it's a smooth, fun experience with a charming story and overall cool, great characters. And that's what keeps you coming back to Bastion. Like, I've played and beat the game a number of times on different platforms, but when it came out on the Switch, I had to play it again. And then I played it a bit more for this video to kind of jog my memory about some of the better action RPGs. And honestly, it's so good. Bastion, one of the best out there, especially if you're looking at it from the smaller independent game side, but it can absolutely hold its own when it comes to the gameplay part of it. So Bastion makes the number 11 on the list. All right, guys, we're in the top 10. Starting out at number 10, Trials of Mana. This is a full Unreal Engine 4 remake of the Seiken Densetsu 3 or Secret of Mana 3 on the Super Nintendo, and it almost feels like a completely different game. Despite having the same characters and story from the original, there's so many added things in this one. Pretty much a different game if you've never played it before. Seiken Densetsu 3 is on the Nintendo Switch, the original with the Mana collection. That's a great action RPG collection as well, but Trials of Mana does a great job with the various different characters that you can use. I really like the class system. Being able to change and upgrade your classes and build those up to be able to get different types of skills is a lot of fun, and it still has the charming music, charming visuals, still has great presentation. There's a lot of cool things about Trials of Mana that I absolutely loved when I played it on the Nintendo Switch a number of years ago. So Trials of Mana makes the number 10 on the list. Coming in at number 9, Persona 5 Strikers. Now, this game is interesting because people obviously love the Persona mainline games, the normal mainline games, the turn-based ones. This one picks up right after the end of Persona 5, but it's absolutely fantastic. Persona 5 Strikers is an underrated gem on the Switch, and the reasons why is because it blends the Warriors style of gameplay and engine, but with an action RPG. So you're not just going to be fighting scores of enemies all the time. There's times where there's singular encounters where you just go there and you fight against a couple of enemies, then that's that, then you get your experience and then you move on in the dungeon. There's other areas where there's massive boss fights. There's other areas where you have a ton of enemies like you're fighting like it's a Warriors game. It's a really cool blend of so many different things within Persona and Warriors. Plus there's platforming parts. There's other things like Persona 5 Royal, or like the regular Persona game inside of a palace. Like, there's a lot of cool things with this game, and I highly enjoyed the customization and different options that you got with the cast and crew, plus the new characters as well. Do not sleep on Persona 5 Strikers, even though it's not as good as the normal games like maybe Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5 Royal. It's absolutely worth playing, and it's going to shock you with how good it ultimately is. Coming in at number 8, Dragon Quest Builders 2. This is a forgotten one. When I was looking through my list of games that I played to really nail it down, I'm like, wait a minute. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is phenomenal, and people simply don't talk about it anymore because people were definitely discussing it when it was coming out, but Dragon Quest Builders 2 takes everything the first game did and just makes it way better. It's a full-on Minecraft slash RPG type of game. It doesn't have all the options and things that you can do in Minecraft, but it has that aesthetic to where like you're building and crafting different types of bases and things, but then it also has the full-on action RPG, the leveling system, different weapons, all the different stuff that you'd expect out of a Dragon Quest game, and it's very well done. The story, characters, there's different things pulled straight from Dragon Quest, and I absolutely love it for that. But I think that the sleekness of the UI and the controls along with the gameplay is what just makes it butter to play. It just makes it super fun. And if you haven't played Dragon Quest Builders yet, I implore you to check it out. It's actually really good. And I think that if you play Dragon Quest Builders 1 and then you go from 1 to 2, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is a top 10 type of action RPG that people just kind of forgot about. So Dragon Quest Builders 2 makes the number 8 on my list. Coming in at number 7, Neo, The World Ends With You. And man, I really like this game because I love the original The World Ends With You on the Nintendo DS. The Switch version's a bit funky overall, but the DS version was fun. And then Neo, The World Ends With You kind of took away that two-screen aspect, because obviously you're not going to have that anymore with the DS. And I think that it ultimately ends up playing a bit better overall when you don't have to worry about that, and you can just truly focus on the characters and what's going on in the pin system and all of that. I really enjoyed my time with it, and despite most people not even caring about this game, the sales necessarily weren't great, it was still a lot of fun to go through and play, and I really enjoyed it. The music is great, the visuals are fantastic. I think it's one of the underrated lookers when it comes to graphics on the Nintendo Switch. I think it does a great job with that. Dialogue is good, story is awesome. If you've been following the anime and if you follow the first game, you're going to love some of the little things that they added in here. So Neo, The World Ends With You, with its fantastic gameplay, fun action RPG elements, great graphics, cool music, and incredible story, make it to number 7 on the list. And at number 6, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak, guys, and I'm not sure where to put this because it's part action RPG, it's part turn-based RPG, you can kind of switch between them, and it's a hybrid, but most people kind of consider it a turn-based RPG, but whatever, it's on my list. If you don't like that, that's fine, you can put whatever other game you want to put in here that I didn't have as an action RPG on the list, but I think it's great. I just want to talk about The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak because, once again, I've been playing through a lot of these different RPGs in preparation for this video, and Trails Through Daybreak is so good. I haven't even beat it yet, haven't even got to its certain peak parts in the game, but I am thoroughly enjoying it so much. I have it up there as one of the best RPGs, and I'm not even done this list when I do my next action RPG list in however many years. Trails Through Daybreak, and maybe even Daybreak 2, absolutely could be higher, could break into the top 3 because this combat system is incredible. I love it so much, and I think that that mix between the action and the turn-based is really what makes it very special, and I guess maybe shouldn't be on the list, but either way, it's still a really, really good game. I think that understanding the story is one of the things that a lot of Legend of Heroes fans will get on you if you don't do, so I have to make sure that I did my research and played what I could, but overall, I'm having a blast with this game and how they've set everything up. And it gives me a feeling that, man, they've really taken their time to really build out this game and the mechanics and the systems overall. So The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak in at number 6. All right, guys, we are in the top 5 with Star Ocean: The Second Story R, one of the more incredible remakes of a PlayStation 1 game. This is phenomenal. I think that this is probably Square Enix's best work with a remake in quite some time, and I say that because they preserved the original feel of the game, but also added so much to it when it comes to the quality of life, replay value, and gameplay. I love the different skills that you can do in the game, switching between different characters as well. The 2 different campaigns are also cool for replay value, and the story is fantastic in this game. Now, the voice acting a little bit sketchy when it comes to the English, but the Japanese voice work is there as well, and the battles are fast, fun, and frantic. I think that they took a lot of care to kind of build this game out to where it does have some nice touches overall with the combat system, particularly like with the blocking and countering system. I think that that is very well done in here and makes it super fun to play. Plus, it has a lot of updates to it as well. They added in extra bosses and content, plus a harder difficulty mode too. So if you really want to test your limits on what you can do, Star Ocean: The Second Story R has it all there. Even Star Ocean: The First Departure, which is the first game in the series re-released that's on the Switch, that one's good, but I think that Star Ocean: The Second Story R, that took it to the next level for Square Enix, and I think it's the best Star Ocean game ever made. So it makes it the number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4, Nier Automata: The End of Yora Edition. Nier Automata, easily one of the best action RPGs ever made from Platinum Games and from Square Enix. And what I love about this game is that it's the vibes. The vibes in here with 2B and the bleak, I would say, future or lack thereof when it comes down to it is so well done. The graphics and how they did everything on the Switch is truly an impossible port because nobody felt they can actually make the game run and look good on the Nintendo Switch, and it actually looks sharper in some ways than the PlayStation 4 version of the game. But what you're going to be paying attention to is the different types of gameplay that you have in here, the variety that which you can take out your enemies, how you can level up to be, and what weapons that she gets, the action, the dodge dodging, the controls, everything is really pinpoint with this game. But I think that the story and how the emotional journey it takes you through, plus the replay value, you have to beat it multiple times in order to truly see everything, is what makes Nier Automata the end of your edition great. But I loved personally just the gameplay. The gameplay to me really just shined, and I liked how 2B had like the little machine gun thing that comes with you as like a side thing. I don't know why that was so much fun. Just blast people up with that, then slash them up with your sword. So Nier Automata, the end of your edition, makes it number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3, Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak. And what makes Monster Hunter Rise so great is the options and the combat. Monster Hunter, there's so many different weapons that you can pick from. I ended up going with the big like great bow or whatever that thing is, and that was so much fun to play as. But they've got a lot of different weapons that you can try out and play, but I think it's how they construct everything in there. You have the village that you're at first, you do all your preparation, you beat monsters, you get their parts, and then you create better gear and better weapons. So it creates a really fun gameplay loop that you can play by yourself or with friends, or now even with the CPUs playing with you on there, which is also very fun. But the online play works pretty much seamless. I don't recall having really any lag or anything like that. And if there was, they definitely adjusted very quickly. But the music is also really good in the game. But I think the best thing, just like many of these action RPGs, is the loop. The gameplay loop and how it plays is very fun and well done, super high quality. And the Sunbreak DLC adds so much more content to the base package of the game. It's almost like an irresistible action RPG to play. So I really enjoyed every bit that I played of it, and I wish that I had infinite time so I can constantly grind out Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak. And absolutely one of the best action RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. Coming in at number 2, Astral Chain. And you guys know I'll take any opportunity to talk about this game because honestly it's heavy on the action with a lot of RPG elements kind of infused in there, and I think it's enough to call it an action RPG. And what I love about this game, and you're part of this neuron task force, and you have to take down these aberrations and these really nasty monsters that are in a different dimension that sometimes cross over and cause havoc, but you have your own legions that are essentially them that you've tamed yourself, and essentially your party members are these different legions that you have with you that you can swap at any time once you unlock them. They all have their own skill trees and different things that you can do. You can equip them with different abilities and items in order to make them better or manipulate how you fight. I absolutely love what they've done, but I think that overall, what makes Astral Chain so good to play is the variety within the combat. There are so many different styles and ways to play. If you want to be more of a long distance or an up close brawler, or if you want to be like a mid-range fighting, if you want to do more of slow big swings with your own character, because your own character has different weapons as well. You want to be more long range, you want to be more up close. I mean, there's just so much different stuff that you can do, and how you fight in tandem with your legion is all what makes it so much is all what makes it so awesome to play. I think the story can be a little bit cliche at times, but overall you're going to be having so much fun with the game itself and the different achievements that you can unlock that actually gives you rewards within the game with outfits and different upgrade parts and everything. You're not really going to worry too much about the story, believe it or not. But even after you beat the game, there's more stuff to do. So they built in the DLC right then and there, free of charge, no extra season pass or anything. So I really enjoyed that about Astral Chain, and that's why it's number 2 on my list. And coming in at number 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 plus Future Redeemed. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to me is the best fusion of a like turn-based RPG, like a MMO and an action RPG, kind of all mixed together to create this unique blend that really there isn't anything else on the market like it. You guys know the deal. You sit there, you auto attack, but then you build up your meters, build up stuff, and then you unleash combos on the enemies. And then you also have your chain attacks, which essentially works as like a turn-based system where you pick different attacks and then you unleash them on your enemies. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also has one of the best structures, open world, and gameplay side quests, if not the best that I've ever played. The open world is absolutely beautiful, teeming with different types of wildlife and enemies to tackle. On top of that full day-night system, you have swimming, you have a huge boat that you can use in the open world as well. These side quests in here are so well done. If you don't do them, you're absolutely gonna miss out on certain characters, certain story plot points and everything. So as long as you explore and you go around, you'll find these awesome side quests to do. The Ascension trials with the different heroes in the game that you can get and learn their skills are very fun too. I really enjoyed my time with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And then if you add in Future Redeemed, which I didn't have on my action RPG list that I did a number of years ago because it wasn't out, but Future Redeemed is the perfection of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 system, really the perfection of everything that they've learned up until that point. Yes, you could double spinning edge your way to victory in Future Redeemed, but how they did the UI, the upgrading, the different characters, the story, and even the side quests in that game made Future Redeemed the best 50 hours that I've ever spent in terms of just quality, like entertainment and quality. Future Redeemed, every second was just so much fun. It's very, very well done. And of course, it was awesome to see the previous characters from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in there. It was just so much fun. So for me, Future Redeemed plus Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the best action RPG on the Nintendo Switch platform and easily one of my favorite games of all time. So what are some of your favorite action RPGs on the Nintendo Switch? What games would you have added on to my list here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.